Hello and welcome to another episode of the Otaku Experience, the anime non-news show where we talk about the current goings-on in the anime and manga industry with our very uneducated opinions. And welcome to the first episode of the Otaku Experience in the fall season. Not necessarily the fall anime season of 2023, but the fall season nonetheless. We're almost in October. And how's everybody doing? Now, in case you guys don't follow me on Twitter, which you really should, I forgot to bring in my thing because I am your host, Israel. And if you don't follow me on Twitter, at Kingtanic Israel, you don't keep up with the updates about the show, because sometimes if a show episode is going to come out late, or if I'm not going to be able to do it at all, I give you guys an update there. And so this past Sunday, this music's really loud. Hold on. I talked about how I wasn't going to be able to do an episode on Sunday purely because there was those stories there. And so I was like, hey, I could do a 10-minute Otaku Experience episode because we would basically only be talking about the audience rankings and then comments. Or I could just wait until Thursday. And so I decided to wait until Thursday just because of how everything played out. But I'm kind of glad that I did, because I could have talked about something that was very new on Sunday, but just there weren't enough details. And I could have made the decision to talk about it then. But I'm happy I didn't, because now we can talk about this now. And this story is insanely juicy. Just finding all the details for it is insane. So that being said, guys, we're going to move right into the first story, and the big story of, I would say, like the past couple weeks. Like, this story is huge if you actually think about it. And that is this. The Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead anime has been coming out this past this summer season. And if you guys didn't know, it is now on indefinite hiatus. It is now indefinitely delayed. Look at these freaking ads all over the place. It's ridiculous. Way to put me in a bad mood. Anyways, so if you guys remember anything about this season, it's the fact that Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead, has been rifled with delays the entire time. It reminds me a lot of how Nier Automata or how Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible also had delays earlier this year. I believe those were in the winter season, and then they got delayed to where they couldn't even finish until this summer season. The same thing looks like it's happening here for Zom. And we've been talking about this past few weeks every time, or at least most of the time when there's been a delay for an episode, or there was even a time when they delayed, like, I think episodes 7, 8, and 9 altogether. And we didn't get a new release date for episodes 10, 11, or 12. And it turns out that after the release of episode 9, which was still, I think, like a day late to its delayed date, we now have this indefinite hiatus, and there's a lot here, so stick with me. This is really, really fascinating. So we have this. Okay, so I'm just going to read some of these articles and kind of break down the story as we go along, because I have tons of different things that we kind of have to go through here. That was just like half of them. We have to go through all of these to kind of paint this picture of what's going on with this studio, and basically, yeah, just with the studio, because I think something that people can agree on if they like the anime is that the anime looks good. Like, the anime production is fine. I don't think anyone's complaining about that. I think what people are complaining about is the fact that it keeps getting delays. And so if you were a person who's binging the show after it's already out, you probably won't notice anything. But for anyone who's watching it weekly or was going to wait until they binged it at the end of the season, you obviously know that you can't do that because of how things are playing out here, which is really, really sad. So we have quite a few things here to talk about. So let's just hop into it, starting with the fact that it's getting an indefinite hiatus. Okay, so fans of the hit anime Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead will be shocked to learn that after a frustrating sequence of delays, the series has been put on indefinite hiatus with no information about a potential return or an air date for the future remaining episodes. There's not just one episode, it's episodes. I believe there's 3 left. I think it's a 12-episode season, and I think they only finished the first 9. Following the delays to previous episodes, which have been simulcast for international audiences via Crunchyroll, the remaining 3 episodes of the series, okay, so it is 3, have been delayed indefinitely. Previously, the air dates, several episodes have been delayed by as much as a week. Now the remaining 3 episodes of the adaptation's scheduled 12-episode season have been delayed until further notice, with no estimated return date for the series. As reported by Anime News and Facts via Twitter, the comedy horror series is going on indefinite hiatus until further notice. And so here's that tweet in question from Anime News and Facts, which we've covered them before on here. But they say this: until next month, or until next notice, Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead is indefinitely on hiatus. The anime still has to share the broadcast information about the last 3 episodes. And, everybody's freaking out in the comment section, this was just this huge thing that kind of tore apart the anime community for everybody who kind of follows these stories as they're coming out, whether that's weekly or daily or whatever. This was kind of like a huge story, and we didn't even have all the details yet about what's going on. And I think that when you take all the details that have been coming out throughout the week, and details just all the signs that have been building up throughout this entire season, you can kind of see that this was basically an inevitable outcome. And it's actually not all that shocking once you kind of put all the puzzle pieces together. So going here, they say the reason for this hiatus has not yet been given, but it is likely to do with the production issues that Zom 100 has experienced, which somewhat hindered the momentum of the series after the first episodes received critical acclaim. And then they kind of talk about this, which we can come back to later, but that's sort of all I want to talk about with that article. And we're going to move on to this. So this is one of the major signs that we've seen talking about Zom, and why there's been one of the reasons why there was such a big issue with everything, or at least it was evident that there was an issue with something. And so for those of us who have waited to binge, we obviously don't know this. I waited to binge after they started delaying all the episodes, and I was like, I'll just wait it out until I have the ability to watch everything, because I get tired of waiting like that. It's just really inconvenient to me. And but this is something that if you've been watching weekly, you would have noticed and you would have seen. So that is this. They say on here on Screen Rant, massive Crunchyroll has one big problem, and its opening proves it. And so they talk about this. There's been a massive hit on Crunchyroll. It's been plagued with delays caused by production issues. The anime's opening highlights its biggest problem on a technical level. While Zom 100 has been a big hit for the summer 2023 season, a big problem with it has been the anime's constant delays. The delays became so bad that the staff had to outright say that they didn't have confirmed release dates for the last 3 episodes, and it has all served to greatly hamper the show's momentum. Production delays have been the biggest problem with Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead, and nothing illustrates that better than its opening theme. Zom 100's opening theme has been notably minimalist, with little imagery and egregious use of clips from previous episodes. But episode 8 showed an updated version with new visuals and animation far more in line with the anime, making it clear that the original opening was an unfinished product, and another sign of the anime's production issues. All of this, of course, continues the ongoing issues with the anime industry, and it even adds a great level of irony, considering that the anime is considered a satire of that system. And so they don't show it here because I know that a lot of articles don't really want to, risk that type of copyright stuff, but or just don't like to put links in their stuff. But I have it here. This is that. Well, actually, no, that's Chibi. Okay, so we'll get to Chibi here in a second. So I have this thing where they have versions 1 and 2 of the opening here, and I believe this was all still before episode 8 came out, and so this is still before the official, this is the opening. You know what I mean? So this is what they had before. This is what people were dealing with for the first first 7 episodes, right? So if we go here, all of this is going to basically be the same here. This is all opening stuff. Now here's the key moment, and it's right after this. Okay, so we have this zombie girl. Suddenly we have this split off where it's different, and you realize that they will start adding clips from the upcoming and previous episodes. Like the episode that's about to air, you might get some clips of that in there, but then you'll also get clips from previous episodes thrown in there. It just in this whole basically second half of the opening, almost 45 seconds worth of time, which is half of an anime opening, because an anime opening is about 90 seconds long. And so that was a huge sign that clearly things weren't ready, to do anything at all with this, that they clearly just should have delayed the show. And we'll get into that here in a little bit as well. I'm checking this article again to see if there's anything else they say here. As for why Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead is facing these issues, the answer possibly lies with its production company, Bug Films. While many talented animators are working with Bug Films, Zom 100 is the first time they've worked on a whole series instead of in-between animation, so it makes sense that they would be unprepared for this type of product. It has never been stated or claimed that Bug Films animators are suffering the same poor conditions that are common in other studios, but it's clear that something bad is happening behind the scenes for its production to be plagued with so many issues. And then they kind of talk about that here as well. So that is something big here, right there. And then we have this. All right, so here's a clip from Chibi. Chibi is one of my favorite people in the anime industry, or I guess anime-tuber industry, anime community would be a better term. And he's been doing this for so long that he kind of has his finger on the pulse on a lot of these things, and he's able to give these really educated takes on these situations that I simply can't give because I'm still, compared to him, I'm still a freaking baby in this industry or in this community. So I figure I'll just let Chibi kind of take it away here.
On here. So this was a post that came out basically yesterday, kind of talking about how Shaft is no longer being credited in Zom 100, because they were being credited, but they're no longer being credited and all that, because as you can see here, this is what was supposed to appear, but they're no longer being credited. So it pretty much showcases that Shaft has kind of walked off the project, and like they no longer want to be associated with Zom 100 because they probably have other things to do. I mean, Shaft is obviously a big studio. We know that they're working on Madoka Magica's movie. They have a lot of things that they probably got to do, and you know, the fact that they have potentially removed themselves from the credits says enough that they probably just want to distance themselves, because anyone that has been watching this show knows it has been just a travesty. And this goes into what I talked about at the beginning of this video, is that there has been a constant trend. There has been a trend of these events happening continuously with anime. Let's just mention a few. Nier Automata. This year, Nier Automata may have finally had its last few episodes air like a few weeks back, but it does not change the fact that it literally took months and a whole season just to finish airing it. It was bad. Like, anyone that looked at Nier Automata's anime release knows just that was not normal, how that was handled. And I've talked about that. I made videos on it. I talked about the Misfit Demon Academy as well. I've talked about Aniplex and all that.
I forgot about.
You know, how there's a lot of anime that have just been continuously getting delayed. Like, they'll have a few episodes come out, and then they get delayed a few weeks, and then they have more episodes, and then another episode comes out. And because of just how many delays they are, it has a domino effect to where the final episodes can't air because the broadcasting slots are gone. Because other anime is supposed to air on those dates because of new anime season.
All right. So thanks, Chibi, which is a very good thing that he said there. And that's something we'll kind of touch on a bit more. Actually, we can touch on that now. I was going to say we'll touch on it at the end, but we can actually touch on that now. So what he was saying there, and I'll explain a little bit more, because Chibi's audience has been following Chibi for so long as well that he kind of expects his audience to know what he's saying about these things, so that way he doesn't have to explain these premises and these topics over and over and over again. So I'll kind of do the filling in for you. So anime seasons, they kind of air within these, 12, 13, 14, maybe 15, depending on if it's like a holiday season or whatever. Usually no more than like 13 or 14 weeks in a row. And that's sort of like your anime season. You have like a couple weeks. Like that's the reason why not every anime starts on the same week in an anime season. Like if you go to AniChart, you will see that some anime will air this weekend. Some anime won't start for another 3 weeks, right? So you kind of have that period where all of that is, for example, let's say the fall anime season, but anime isn't airing on every single one of those days. But all of that is like blocked time off. Like this is that schedule. And so you have a schedule where, like, say, what's a big show coming out next season? Spy Family Season 2 or Arknight's Prelude or Perish in Frost. Both Season 2s, I mean, that doesn't really have to do with anything. That's just a random detail. But anyways, those are shows that are about to air now, within a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks from now. And they've already purchased all of those broadcasting time slots. They're already set on that schedule for the entirety of the season. They get that 30-minute chunk of time every single week that they've scheduled for. Now, the problem is Zom 100 had its slots. Now, what happened is when you delay your episodes, you start giving up your slots. Now, that's okay because, like I was saying, there are so many weeks, if you have a show that doesn't air, for 2 weeks after Zom in those time slots, maybe Zom could have snuck in, maybe if it missed only 1 week, maybe it could have still aired all of its episodes in that season. But because it had so many delays where it was pushing so many episodes back, now all of those time slots are gone. And now Zom doesn't have a chance to air unless they drop it all on a streaming service or something like that. But that's kind of out of character with these anime studios. They like to air it on TV because that's how they get the ad revenue, stuff like that. And so basically what this means is that Zom won't even get the chance to finish airing until probably winter next season, I would say. And that's what happened with this first article where they were saying Zom is now indefinitely on hiatus. The reason for that is because they literally can't air it until after this season that's coming up. And if there are anime that have already scheduled their slots that far in advance into the winter season, that even complicates things more there. But that being said, they have about 3 months to finish production on these episodes, unless they have another anime that they're working on. I haven't really checked into what they're up to, so maybe they have an anime airing in fall, although I don't think so. And so hopefully they'll be able to give most of, if not all of their resources to finishing these 3 episodes and then airing them all, maybe in bulk, maybe at the end of the winter season, maybe at the beginning. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they won't be able to air it all until after this year, basically, unless they air on like the final day of the fall season, like last day of the year, they're like, hey, here's 3 episodes. Bam, you're done. We're over. Get out of here. But there's that. Now, another thing here is this, and that is we have the studio issue. So if you guys don't know who Bug Films is, Bug Films is a new studio. They were created in 2021 by oh, snap. Who the freak made this? Yes, Twin Engine. This is kind of their parent studio, I would say. Okay. And so someone at Twin Engine kind of created a split off or a subsidiary company, and that is Bug Films. And their first big anime, or their first anime at all, was Zom 100. And this is a very big show, as you can see by how well it was performing. It's based on a decently, actually not even decent. This is a huge IP. In terms of manga, this number is massive. This is a huge IP. And so they're cutting their teeth on something huge. They took in this huge, massive project that honestly, I don't know if they were ready for. We were reading that article where they were saying that they were used to doing, the people who came and did Bug Films were used to doing in-between animation for other shows. Even when, they were working with other people, this group, they weren't the main studio. They were an assistant studio, for lack of a better term. I don't want to demean, that level of stuff, but they're not the main studio doing all the production. They're kind of filling in the gaps, helping that other studio do things. Kind of like how Shaft was working on it with Zom, which Chibi just talked about in that video. And so you have Bug Films doing this, taking like this really big hit at their first anime ever, on their own, with people who probably aren't qualified to do something at this level. Not saying that they'll never be qualified, not saying that they're not talented, but jumping in at a project on this scale as your first thing, I'm not going to be nice. That's idiotic. That's stupid. You shouldn't do that. And then when you're relying on help from other studios, and then those other studios are like, hey, there are so many problems here. We can't just do this entire show for you. We have other stuff we need to do, which is what caused Studio Shaft to leave and go work on its own stuff, because it has its own stuff that it needs to do, leaving Bug Films all on its own. They're like, okay, we have to delay all of our episodes, and now we can't air the final 3 episodes in this season. That's what happens when you undertake a process this big. I would say for your first IP, and they can license it, they can get the rights to it, but just hold off on making it until maybe they get 1 or 2 more anime at least under their belt, where they can kind of build up to something with this many action scenes, with the scale that this is going into, with everything that this production is going to need. It takes a lot. And so if I were them, I probably would have started with, a slice of life or something that doesn't necessarily require some like these big grand sets, this big grand action sequences, animation, all this stuff, something a lot more simpler. Not to say that that's a lesser medium or anything, but just something that's simpler and, for lack of a better term, easier to do in terms of the skill set needed. And it's a different skill set, but I would say that it's just different. I'm not trying to belittle anything here. But I would have had them start out with something like that, and then maybe one or two anime after that, they can start working on something like Zom. And so this is where we start getting into the big drama here, which is they were also kind of just, I guess they're probably trying to just prove people before them wrong, and that's where we get to this part. New Crunchyroll anime roast Pokemon's anime studio, and it's brutal. Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead just started streaming on Netflix, and it's already calling out companies for their unhealthy work conditions. Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead is unique in it. I don't care. Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead bursts onto the scene with the premiere of the first episode on July 9th, and it's already become one of the most talked about anime of the year, which is why it's so surprising that the new hit takes shots at the studio behind Pokemon's anime. The comedy horror series is a unique take on the zombie genre, unlike any zombie anime before it, and fans are loving the colorful apocalyptic world. However, this series isn't all fiction, and fans have noticed some glaring similarities to a real-world company. Zom 100 is a fresh spin on the zombie genre, as it takes a hilarious look at how the zombie apocalypse could actually be an opportunity to take time off work. Based on the manga of the same name, the anime adaptation has given the story an even brighter look while keeping the feeling of the original series. However, one background detail that the animators added to the adaptation has caught the eye of fans in a big way, and it has to do with the horrible company the main character works for. So this is on the left here. This is the building in the anime that the main character works for. As I said before, I haven't watched Zom yet. I've been waiting to binge it because of all the delays. And on the right, this is Studio OLM, which is the studio that's animated the Pokemon anime and other things like that, which clearly the people who are animating Zom have worked with or worked for before. Zom 100 is a must-watch anime because of how it approaches the idea of the zombie apocalypse in our modern world. The main character, Akira Tendo, finds himself working endless hours for a terrible company called ZLM that exploits its workers and ends up sucking the soul out of him. You notice something there? You notice how I said that the company that was working on Pokemon was OLM? Isn't that interesting how in the show the terrible company is ZLM and they have almost an identical building? This is why when he wakes up to find his workplace is overrun by zombies, he's filled with hope instead of dread, finally able to not go to work and focus on himself. Hilariously, the company Akira works for is modeled after a very real company called OLM. And Zom 100 isn't exactly trying to hide it. As a tweet by Twitter user UUCow put it, the first episode of Zom 100 is stunningly directed, joyful in animation, and simply hilarious. Though no gag is funnier than the fact that a production company so bad it's worse than the zombie apocalypse is represented by Studio OLM, which this team recently split off from. So they have this here. And if you look here, there's some interesting stuff here. I have this pulled open. This is the logo of ZLM in the anime, that logo there. Let me see if I can make it bigger. This would be the logo here. Okay. Notice the L and the M in particular. This is OLM's logo. Notice something? You see the L and the M? It's almost in the exact same placement as this one. They've just moved the O down here because it's no longer an O, and they made it a Z. And they kind of changed the styling of the letters a bit. But all the placement is the same. It's almost the same letters minus one letter. And then the building is almost identical. Really, really interesting here. OLM Inc. might sound familiar to longtime anime fans. This studio is behind major titles such as Pokemon, Komi Can't Communicate, and Berserk, amongst many other animated shows and movies. Recently, multiple producers and animators left OLM to work for the new Bug Films, the studio in charge of producing Zom 100, by naming the fictional company ZLM, making the company logo almost identical, and modeling the animated building after OLM's building. The animators are obviously calling out their former studio for awful work conditions. So there's one thing that maybe in a vote of retaliation, they kind of wanted to prove. But maybe this is one of the reasons factoring into why a project so massive like this was taken as their first project, and that's that. Hey, maybe they just wanted to prove their old boss is wrong. Like, oh, look at these terrible work conditions. We hated working for them. What if we took on this really big show? We did it in the way we wanted to do it, and we'll prove them wrong and it'll work out. Obviously, that didn't happen. Then we have this here. So I wanted to see kind of what stuff was going on here about why like if there was production issues with what was going on. I couldn't really find anything, but I could find this, which was something that isn't necessarily a perfect thing. Like, it's not exactly what I necessarily wanted to find, but I think it'll suffice for this, and I think we'll be able to kind of figure out what we need to from this.
You've got a subscription for streaming movies.
I don't know why the dude started talking to me, but anyways, okay, here we go. Guys, my browser lagged on me. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, everything's lagging. Opera, no. Opera GX is lagging, but I guess while that's doing that, we can talk about this while my browser figures itself out. Or I guess it's not GX, it's just Opera. But we have the OLM animation director confirming that we're having problems with not having enough employees. And then because they didn't have enough employees, they began having to overwork the employees that they had, thus leading to the terrible working conditions, thus leading to those people leaving and going to work for Bug Films. Now, I guess this isn't really loading, so I'll be back in a second. All right, and we're back. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. That's never happened to me before. But we have this. I may have just had so many tabs open because of how this story is playing out. But we have this. This is what I was referring to. OLM animation director confirms that Pokemon anime is in trouble. After all the recent issues with the Pokemon anime, filler, gap weeks, recap episodes, a staff member... Oh, okay, I guess we'll open this. A staff member has confirmed that they don't have enough people. This may be why we haven't heard anything about a Gen 9 anime. So we were wondering why, the Pokemon anime wasn't like continuing, at least at the time. This was back in last year. And that was sort of why things were happening there. So lack of people, overworking people quit, try to prove their previous bosses wrong at Bug Films. Bug Films, filled with people who have never worked on a full anime ever before, suddenly take on this huge, massive IP that demands a lot. They enlist Studio Shaft to help them. Studio Shaft leaves. They began having to delay episodes almost, by the time the season ended, they delay things by about 3 weeks, and they don't have room to delay their final 3 episodes. That's kind of the tale of Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead. Now, the sad thing about this is that by the time that these episodes actually do air, whether that's going to be in winter or that's going to be at the end of this year, it'll be early spring, whatever it's going to be, it'll probably have the same fate that Kuba Won't Let Me Be Invisible and Nier Automata had, which is the fact that people probably won't care. That sadly, the story of Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead, which could have been this really big anime franchise, and I'm not saying that it won't get a second season, but something that could have been a really big franchise just had its chances of getting a second season, I would say probably cut in half, if not more. I'm going to say, here's my take. I think that if we don't get an announcement of a season 2 within a week of these last 3 episodes airing, we're not getting a season 2 of Zom 100. And I think that that's probably a good coin toss. I don't know if that's going to be, I don't think there's I would say that it's not the majority chance that we're getting a season 2 of Zom, which is very sad because of how much promise this episode was showing in the first few weeks. But anyways, guys, that's that for the Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead drama. I guess we'll talk more about this. If the story develops, we'll be able to talk about that as the story develops. But if not, I guess we'll talk about that whenever the next 3 episodes do come out. And if we do get a season 2 announcement, we'll talk about it then. But that being said, guys, what are your thoughts on this? All right, so something that absolutely destroyed the internet this past week, which I honestly don't really understand. Maybe that's just me, but we have a new Devil May Cry anime coming out, and it got an announcement trailer, and we'll play a little bit of that here from Capcom. Oh, well, hey. Copyrighted. We're not going to play any more of that. That's it. All we got is woohoo and then him flipping around. And everybody's freaking out about this. And I'm sitting here like, what? What are we talking about? So this is based off, if you don't know, this is based off of the other anime, Devil May Cry, which I guess is based off of the light novel of the same name, but maybe loosely, or maybe it looks like there's maybe some games here. I don't really know what's going on here. This is a franchise that honestly, I've never really heard of. You want my honest take? I thought people were talking about Devilman Crybaby. I thought that's what they were saying, like a new Devilman Crybaby anime is coming out. Oh, okay. But no, it's Devil May Cry. And I'm like, I don't really know what that is. But hey, who's to say? Let's see what's going on here. I think they have some stuff in the article here. Okay. The logline for the 8-episode series was also released in this animated adaptation of the popular Capcom game. Sinister forces are at play to open the portal between the human and demon realms. In the middle of it all is Dante, an orphan demon hunter for hire, unaware that the fate of both worlds hang around his neck. So this is based on video games? Okay, that's probably why I don't know. I don't play many video games if you don't know me. The existence of the new Devil May Cry animation was actually confirmed by showrunner, executive producer, creator Adi Shankar, who is a Castlevania executive producer to IGN all the way back in 2018, with Shankar saying that it will join Castlevania in what we're now calling the bootleg multiverse. Oh, so it's a multiverse? They're going to cross over? Okay. And then I guess they're talking a little bit more about that. The first Devil May Cry game was released in 2001 on a PS2 title. It has since been ported to other platforms. The most recent entry in the stylish hack and slash series was 2009 Devil May Cry 5, which was released for PS4, Xbox One, and Steam. A special edition was later released. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. I guess. Okay. Cool. I'm glad y'all are having fun. I'll watch it when it comes out. But if you're one of the people that's excited for this, what do you think of this? All right, so if you're in the anime and manga community in any capacity, you have heard of Kagurabachi. It is a shonen manga that I believe came out last week, if not the week before, and it has been just destroying everything. I have not had a chance to read it, but it looks interesting. And here's something here. It landed one of Manga Plus's biggest debuts. Now, this isn't a surprise if you've heard about this. This thing just started, and it already has 19,000 members on my anime list. This is huge. This came out like last week. What on earth is going on here? But if you don't know what Kagurabachi is, it's a shonen anime. They have a synopsis here. Young Chihiro spends his days training under his famous swordsmith father, but one day he hopes to become a great sword maker himself. The goofy father and the serious son, they thought these days would last forever, but suddenly tragedy strikes. A dark day soaked in blood, Chihiro and his blade now live only for revenge. Epic sword battle action. So his dad dies, I guess. Super sad. But I think they released like a 50-page manga chapter, and like everybody freaked out about it. So that's huge. And the fact that it already has 19,000 members, like I said, huge. This thing is going to be massive, and definitely expect an anime adaptation announcement in the future. There were some people trying to say that it already was like going to have an anime adaptation. This is not the case as far as we know. There have been no announcements of this, but everybody was like, yeah, bro, after the first chapter, got an anime adaptation announcement. And the people were posting on Twitter. I saw this really funny one where someone posted like a fake screenshot of like the anime, and they're like, bro, the new episode is heat. It is like, bro, it just came out. What? Like, so it's been really funny. The memes have been great if you've been in this fold. But yeah, here's the big thing about it. It's had this huge debut. So Shonen Jump's Kagurabachi lands a huge debut on Manga Plus, soon confirming how a viral meme similar to 22's Morbius will decide success. Weekly Shonen Jump's latest title, Kagurabachi, marks one of the biggest splashes in the inception of Shueisha's online reading platform, Manga Plus. Various formerly Twitter accounts like Shonen Salto, have tracked Kagurabachi's growth following its September 17th release date, racking up over 250,000 views in 3 days. This view count placed it firmly over the lifetime totals of juggernauts such as Spy X Family and Dragon Ball Super. Within 2 more days, Kagurabachi added 100 more views to surpass Oshinoko, currently staging a fight back given its return from hiatus, and now seems poised to pass My Hero Academia in the coming hours, which this was like 5 days ago that this article came out, so I assume it's already done that. Author Takeru Hokazono said it in his first author's comment, "I've been honored with the opportunity to draw lots of manga, and that's exactly what I'm going to do." Then they have this here. They have this picture. So it looks like it needed to pass Boruto, and it looks like it probably... Yeah, I gotta stop. I'm getting sick and tired of these memes. No, the memes are a lot of fun. Manga Plus has had similarly large debuts in recent times, with Boruto 2 Blue Vortex becoming one of the highest viewed manga on the platform. Available worldwide except in Japan, China, and South Korea, which use Shueisha's native Jump Plus app. Manga Plus view tracking capability is seen as important for gauging the international response. Despite this, many fans have urged calm given the foremost importance of native Japanese numbers. Red Hood and other popular manga in the West have seen cancellations despite relative international success. While it's difficult to gauge Kagurabachi's relative success given Manga Plus debuted after most of its current titles, a tweet showcasing Kagurabachi's Jump Plus view count indicates Japanese interest isn't nearly as high. This is further evidenced by the bemusement of Japanese fans at the international attention. This usually happens, before we get into that, this usually happens with stuff where either the Japanese audience is super into something, but then the international audience is not into it. And then sometimes the international audience is really into something, and then the Japanese audience isn't into it. And then sometimes you'll get the case where everybody's into it. But we have this tweet on X here, or on Twitter. I'm not calling it X. It's stupid. But the articles keep calling it X, so I get conflicted. Japanese people being so confused at why Kagurabachi is popular is my new favorite thing. So someone said, why is Kagurabachi so popular overseas? Dismemberment and bleeding are commonplace in foreign manga, so I think people like Kagurabachi because they know they can read it with the same feeling. I thought they were about to say, like, dismemberment and bleeding are commonplace in, like, other countries. I was about to be like, yo, based? Anyways, this new Jump series, Kagurabachi, is really interesting since it deals with Japanese swords. I'm sure this will be popular overseas as well. The new Jump series, Kagurabachi, only had 1 episode, but it has been strangely well received overseas and even creating a realistic anime image. Japanese sword power is amazing. This is the screenshot. I saw someone post this screenshot and being like, yo, the new Kagurabachi episode was fire. And I thought it was hilarious. And then here's another one, a huge buzz, especially overseas. And it looks like, I think that might be it. Yeah. Dude, so, yeah, like I was saying, usually it's one or the other. And sometimes you'll get those where it's like both, Japanese and international audiences like it. And then we have, I guess they just go and talk a little bit more about the relevance of this, but this is pretty cool. This is definitely going to be something to look out for when I think manga awards had just happened this year. And so expect to see this, be one of the big heavy hitters at the next one as well. But anyways, guys, what are your thoughts on this? All right, this next story is either going to be super happy news for you or super sad news for you. For me, it's kind of a mix of both. I thought this was not the greatest anime I'd ever seen, but I got some enjoyment out of this, and that is the world's finest assassin gets reincarnated into another world as an aristocrat. It is getting a second season. Okay, so they have it here where it says the second season of the world's finest assassin gets reincarnated into another world as an aristocrat. It's a terrible title, by the way. Was announced at the Sneaker Bunko 35th Anniversary Festival Festa event on Sunday. The first season, co-produced by Silver Link Studio, Palette, aired in 12 episodes in fall 2021. Crunchyroll streamed the anime with subtitles and subsequently with an English dub. The anime series, blah 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 blah. If you don't know what this is, it's just an anime where some deity reincarnates this super skilled assassin from the real world after he dies into this fantasy world in order to I guess, save someone. I totally forgot what the plot of this thing is. All I know is that he fell in love with his cousin. It's awful. But I think the fights are super entertaining. Some of the characters are kind of stupid, and I like them. And that's why I watch it, because it's good fun. But, yeah. What are your thoughts on this? So one of the biggest anime that I've been looking forward to in the fall 2023 season, I've been talking about it all year long, and that is Frieren Beyond Journey's End. And it's coming out, actually starting tomorrow with a 2-hour premiere. And we just got an official confirmation that it is going to run for 2 consecutive cours. I believe before we knew that it was going to be in 2 cours, but now we know that they're going to air back-to-back. So this will air throughout fall, throughout the winter. So this comes to us from Anime Corner, where they say the upcoming Frieren Beyond Journey's End TV anime has officially been confirmed to run for 2 consecutive cours, meaning that it will air from this September until March 2024. Crunchyroll will stream the anime outside Japan. You can see their full fall 2023 lineup. Studio Madhouse is animating, and the anime will premiere on September 29th with a 2-hour special episode. The announcement came with a combined visual. So considering the fact that most anime adaptations will cover, like 3 light novels in a decently long anime season, they're usually able to cover, 1.5. If they're rushing, if they're speeding through maybe 2 light novels in a 12-episode season. But when it comes to like a 2-core anime season, you can usually expect to see between 2 and 3 light novels being covered. And so what this shows me is I forget how long the Frieren light novels are. I didn't read it, so I don't really remember how long it is, but I can look that up real quick. And I think this kind of shows that we're going to be able to, get a decent amount of this all coming out. So it's actually still going. So we don't know how many light novels are going to be coming out. I wonder how many light novels are currently out. How many light novels? Oh, you can't see any of this. This is what I'm looking at. They don't have a certain amount of volumes. Oh, wait, no, this is a manga? I thought this was a light novel. Okay, so it's a manga. Okay, well, this is totally different. That totally changes. That ruins my argument. I'm wrong. I quit the show. Goodbye, everyone. But no, with manga chapters, you can usually do like 3 chapters in an episode. So, 3 times, like 24, that's, a lot. That's, what is that? No, it's not 96, 72. So that's 72 chapters. According to the wiki, there are going to be 112 chapters so far that aren't in volumes, and the thing is still going. So 112 chapters. That means we're going to cover, like a good amount of what exists in these episodes, which is very, very exciting. So that being said, I think this is going to be a super fun, super cool anime. I've talked about this enough. You guys don't need to hear me talk about it anymore. We'll be able to talk about it on Sunday because I'm definitely going to be talking about this premiere, unless it sucks. Actually, no, if it sucks, I'm going to be talking about it too. But that being said, guys, are you excited for Frieren? It starts tomorrow. And also, if you are you excited that's going to be in 2 cours? What are your thoughts on this? And the last story before we get into everything else going on in the show, we have this. So this is an anime movie that we've been talking about for a little bit now. The Tunnel to Summer, The Exit of Goodbyes. And we were waiting for a North American release. We finally got one, and it is coming out on November 3rd. So they say here, High Dive announced on Wednesday that it will begin screening Tomohisa Taguchi's The Tunnel to Summer, The Exit of Goodbyes, the anime film of Mei Hachimoku, and Kuka's Natsu no Tunnel, Sayonara no Deguchi young adult novel in theaters in the US on November 3rd. The company will screen the world premiere for the English dub along with a panel with dub voice actors on October 12th at 7:30 p.m. EDT at New York Comic Con. The premiere and the panel will take place at Room 405, and I don't really care about all this. And tickets go on sale October 10th. So this is pretty cool. I will definitely be getting my tickets for that, and we will talk about that and review that when that comes out. But that being said, guys, that's all the news for this episode. What do you guys think about this story? And with that being said, guys, we would usually go into audience rankings at this point, but the Anime Trending audience rankings actually are doing their week off thing. They do that in the final 2 weeks of the season because they know that not all the shows are going to be ending. And so in order to keep everything kind of fair, they wait until 2 weeks till after that. So we'll probably talk about that sometime next week, if not the week after. So with all that out of the way, we're going to hop right into the comments and questions that you guys had from last week's episode. All right, so we only have 2 comments on this one. If you want to get a comment or question on not next week, but on Sunday's episode of the Otaku Experience, just hop into the comment section below. You don't even have to ask a question about like what we talked about in that episode. I mean, you can, but you can ask basically anything. I mean, if you call me a slur or something, I'm not going to answer it. But anything outside of that, sure, we can talk about it. So first we have at XerFT. Hope you really enjoy season 2 of Arknight's anime because things are going to get real. Dude, they already got real in the first season. I can't wait. Anime of the year? Oh, maybe, possibly, could be again. Could you imagine if Arknights was my anime of the year 2 years in a row? Dude, peak anime. And then we have Anna Mayadhani 4769, who just says, "Hey, mate. Hey, what's up?" All right, and thanks for the comments, guys. And with all that out of the way, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Otaku Experience. I want to thank you guys all so much for watching. If I can find my little thingamabob here, there it is. You guys can follow me outside of the Burnett Network and outside of the Otaku Experience on my main YouTube channel at Kingtanic, or you can follow me on Instagram at Kingtanic. You can follow me on Twitter at Kingtanic Israel. Go to postgeeksingularity.com. Contact everyone, say what's up, become a part of the Post-Geek Singularity. You want to. And if you want to watch more things on the Post-Geek Singularity or on the Burnett Network, we have so many things for you to watch outside of the Otaku Experience. We have Observations, Let's Get Physical Media, Ladies of the PGS, Architects of Imagination, K-Pasa PGS, Cad's Reviews. They're doing like a Wheel of Time thing. The RM's doing a whole bunch of stuff. Lots of things going on. Member chats, and of course the Otaku Experience. That's all. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. It truly does mean a lot. And yeah, I will see all of you hopefully on Sunday if freaking news stories come out. Take care.